Have you checked the children? Use your little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Jaime Fuego here.
We are here to discuss a patron-requested film called The Lost Tapes of Leah Sullivan.
The lost footage of Leah Sullivan.
Right. And that
just
is
talked about it.
that is requested by Ms. Marie.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marie. And this is a found footage movie from, I think, 2018, which
Correct.
I had not seen yet.
I think it debuted on the festival circuit in 18, but was released proper in 19, as I found out looking on the IMDb.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was done well enough, but as far as found footage movies go, while I think it's better than a lot of found footage movies that have been made, I think ultimately it was not satisfying enough with where everything went. You know, I looked, and at like the 55-minute mark, she was still doing
happening?
one-on-one interviews with people and not really, you know, making the story bigger like I thought they would. So overall, I enjoyed the movie, but I was surprised at how little actually happened in the movie for me. Fuego, your overall thoughts?
I don't like.
Oh boy, here we go.
I don't like found footage.
I do.
Yeah, so maybe that factors pretty significantly into this process. This movie was so dull, and it's one of the most boring things I've watched in recent memory.
Wow, okay.
I'm very sorry, Ms. Marie.
I didn't think it was that boring, but there were some slow parts.
Yeah.
For sure.
And yet I haven't watched a ton of found footage because I'm not super into the subgenre of horror, and so maybe that factors into it. Acting, and we'll get into full extent of it. I didn't think the acting was that bad, and I liked how it was supposed to be one SD card and no cuts, and so we saw what would have been behind the scenes as opposed to the chopping directly to interviews and stuff like that. I thought that was an interesting framing sort of situation, but this was definitely, for me, one of the most Blair Witch inspired that I have seen, because of the fact that you're waiting so long for something to happen. And I mean, at least there was goofy interviews as opposed to just arguing and stuff like you get throughout, something like Open Water or Blair Witch. And the payoff didn't really get me where I wanted to be. But I was intrigued by the lore.
Payoff didn't make you come.
No, pushing that. But yeah, it just didn't go into as intriguing of a revelation sort of thing as I wanted.
Agree.
Because at first I was like, is it supernatural? And I was like, is it not? Or, and when
Couldn't quite tell.
Yeah, exactly, without spoiling. And so some charm from the lead actress, even though she's a little chipmunk for me. But nonetheless, this I did not like. So yeah.
Fair enough. My overall thoughts were, I thought some of it was done well, but yeah, overall it was a bit of an unsatisfying found footage movie. I mean, it's this female doing the entire movie herself, it seems, doing interviews and, framing everything up and doing the editing. And sometimes it was interesting and sometimes it really kind of wasn't for me. So it was her trying to figure out what was actually going on in the area, and I don't know, man. I just got a little bit bored sometimes, and I wasn't intrigued with how the story was playing out. So I don't know. It just didn't do that much for me. It was very slow. So I don't mind when a film crew
like
has
80
to interview a number of people, but they didn't structure that in an interesting way. It was just interviews, and I didn't buy into some of it, and so the movie kept going, and I got kind of left behind without caring along the way. I don't know. That was just my experience with it.
Yeah. And so to get in the story, there is this home in Massachusetts, and there was a brutal murder that was committed there. And it was a family.
The Makalaka murderies. What were they called?
The McCalhennies? Malcahennies? I don't know. Something with an M. But yeah.
The McCamey Manor people.
But the big thing is that it's a cold case, and they never figured out who actually was the perpetrator. But even more so, there is also the fact that pretty much every member of the family had missing limbs. Like there was an arm missing from one of them, a leg missing
Legs
from
missing.
another. And yeah,
Legs.
yeah,
missing.
exactly. And then as this girl who is a journalism student, she doesn't look like she's university age. Maybe she's going back to school.
This guy,
or
the
something.
ageism.
always. As you know, we both march into
Shut up. Continue.
later years and stuff like that. Hey, my dad just
26.
turned
I don't know what
70,
you're
man. But yeah, so this girl is compelled, this journalism student, to do research and try to first. She has that interesting little instance where she has the ability to consult local law enforcement after he pulls her over and then hits on her after she almost runs over the woman and her dog because she's driving and like fixing the camera as opposed to paying any attention to driving. And as somebody who was recently ticketed,
I saw that scene too, and I was like,
for for not paying attention. But yeah, so this cop becomes kind of a consultant of hers and a potential love interest because they are flirting quite heavily in a few different instances where she's trying to interview him.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's also talking to a few other locals, including this guy who tells a story about, yeah, I heard this old legend that after it happened, I guess it's not that old, but that people friends of his have seen this mangled makeshift monster with like a girl's arm and like a man's leg and all this stuff. So they imply that there's a supernatural
we're talking about
aspect.
spare parts.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, did you watch it?
Not yet, no.
It's fun. I really like it. Anyway,
It struck me as a Frankenhooker-ish kind of movie, which was funny.
It's so Canadian and it's
Okay.
so of a Turbo Kid vibe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But so yes, there.
It was an appropriate reference, though, right?
Indeed,
Right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Just
That's professionalism.
but a Frankenstein sort of situation in that regard, and yet we are led as the viewers to really question and wonder, is there a supernatural element or not? And so, yes, we got Cats on.
I was
Cats
trying
on
to grab her,
Bone.
but she's just passed out. I'm not going to be able to
Yeah.
grab her.
But I mean, this is where the film just felt very tedious within its story to me, in the fact that it's really, as opposed to anything happening, it's just a series of interviews. As she's
Yes.
trying to get closer to,
And not
just
super
the family,
interesting interviews,
but
to be
people who
honest.
worked for the family,
Right.
people who were friends with them. I mean, she's doing the proper journalistic, sort of process of, trying to like get a domino sort of situation of information going down, but she's
Boring.
She's boring, and her questions are boring, and the dialogue of the people is boring. And a tidbit that I found out was that the cop who is the kind of love interest who in the third
Is her
act,
actual husband?
and he's the director of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's the co-writer, yeah.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah,
they made the film together, yeah.
Yeah, for like $5. So
Yeah, sure. All
yeah,
right.
no, I mean, hey,
Look,
it
props
was-
to them. They put
props to them.
together
They
a
did.
finished product that
They
was
did.
coherent.
And they had a story,
Yep.
and albeit it's not a terrible trash story. I just wanted.
I wanted more.
I wanted
They did.
more.
They
I
did such
really,
a
really
good
did.
job presenting their world
Mhm.
that I was hoping for more than what we
Same,
actually got.
same.
So I
I-
think that can ultimately be
That is something
a
to
compliment,
credit them about.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're working on a limited budget and there's only so much you can show and do, that's where it gets tough. So story for you, man.
Story is okay. I think it was more boring than anything else, unfortunately, throughout the thing. And when you get to the end where it's supposed to be thrilling and everything, it is thrilling, but it goes too fast.
Yeah.
Right? It's trying to wrap things up, and it doesn't give you a resolution, which a lot of these found footage movies don't tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They set it up, and then they have this cool ending, which doesn't necessarily wrap things up. And this is one of those. So
Yeah, it doesn't need to be wrapped up in a neat little package, though.
no, but it
you
could
do
be a
have
little
to-
more interesting than it was.
Yeah, exactly. But that final scene, I did find relatively thrilling. I thought it was one of the strongest scenes of the entire film. When they go back to investigate that second time without
Mm-hmm.
spoiling stuff, and they're as we can segue, I think, into production and how it was filmed and effects and,
Sure.
and things of that nature. This is another one of those where you think you see a flash of something and then it pans
But do
away, but do you? Was it
Yeah.
actually there, or could it be the paranoia of the person?
The problem
I mean,
is, I don't think, based on the rest of the movie, that the filmmaker was smart enough to, purposefully set those things up.
yeah, no, I completely concur with you there, man. Yeah.
So, I mean, ultimately, if you're a found footage fan, I think that it's worth taking a look at. But if not,
and it's devoid of score. I mean,
Yeah,
it's really just very cold.
It's very bare
cold
bones.
interview.
very bare bones. It
Centric,
was
sort of.
interesting for someone that likes found footage movies, which is me. I do like found footage movies, so I like the setup, but I have to recognize it was a very cold setup. It was very boring at times, talking about characters that I don't know and yet I'm supposed to buy into. And then things happen and all that, and the evolution of the characters from there.
How about the acting, though, since I just realized we didn't cover it?
No, we've
did
been
you-
touching about it all
we
throughout
haven't
the whole
throughout the
thing.
entirety. I thought the lead lady was okay.
Yeah,
you know,
I
mean, she
thought
wasn't
everything was
bad.
fine.
She
It's
wasn't
just
bad.
the story was what was lackluster,
Yeah.
not the acting to me.
Yeah,
in
it
this
was
one.
very, very Massachusetts, very like Boston kind of area, you know, with some of
Worcester,
those
Mass.
Yeah, exactly, with some of the accents and you know,
Sure,
and,
sure.
and so on.
Totally.
So, yeah.
But nonetheless, look, if you are a hardcore found footage person, you might find merit in this one. I think there are a lot better found footage movies out there. No shade to Heather on this
Yeah,
one.
no, none at all.
You know, look, we've
Ms. Marie.
Really? Did I get that wrong again?
Ms. Marie, I
God damn
believe,
it.
for this one. Yeah.
Ms. Marie, Heather Smith, whichever one of you requested this, I understand and I appreciate it, and I'm sorry for getting it wrong, but yeah, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, not for me either, man. And you actually like this genre, so I know I was
I
very.
do
know
love
I was
found
very,
footage.
very harsh on
Which
it.
is why I was sat
first.
through it, and I was like, yeah, let's see where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I rewatched part of Leslie Vernon, and I was like, oh, that's
Behind the
that's
mask.
the way to do a movie. Yeah, like a
Mhm.
found footage fucking movie with a crew and stuff. Yeah, and I was like, no
Yeah.
one's done it like that since then.
Yeah, and I watched
Did you
it.
see Dead Meat James had him on?
I did not. Huh.
Yeah, he actually
Oh,
had
that's cool.
Leslie on, and in his current, he like had a little,
Oh, like
little gray in his
in
beard.
character?
Yeah, as Leslie
That's-
to talk about his kill count for
That
Behind
is-
the Mask.
That is
I
pretty
was
funny.
so jealous. Dead
dang.
Meat James, good for you, man, for
Yeah.
making it that far. I'm super jealous for
That's
having Leslie on like
Yeah.
that, but good
Yeah,
for you, man.
and one thing that just occurred to me before we wrap it up that I was because I watched this with Lady Catherine, and so
Lady K.
and yeah, exactly, and she said to me that she wished they could have like picked a more foreboding house because she didn't feel like there was like a fearsome
It needed a place,
fearsome
yeah.
scariness at
Sure.
all to the house. And I know on a very limited budget, there's only so much you can do when you're trying to pick a location, especially that you would have access to. I did like the snowy sort of chilling aspect to it because that always snow for whatever reason kind of creeps me out. But the choice of the home, both from more so from the exterior because it looked kind of like a double wide kind of situation or something, and then when you went inside, it was relatively well kept for the most part, and all the natural light that was coming through because they were in there investigating during the daytime, that it just, I don't know, it didn't give that creepy haunted house at night, like is it haunted, is it not sort of situation.
Sure.
And I guess that goes into just final thoughts about
Yeah.
production and what they had the budget and the ability to really do. So
I mean, ultimately, is it worth your time? If you're an extreme found footage fan, sure.
it's free on Tubi.
Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'd skip over this one. I appreciate Ms. Marie / Heather's request to have us
I
done
can
it.
double check right now.
Yeah,
if we
double
need to.
check. I don't know which it is, but to be honest, I love found footage movies, so I'm glad to have seen it now because it's in my arsenal.
Ms. Marie.
But
yeah.
okay, Ms. Marie, thank you. But I would watch the Frankenstein Theory before I'd watch this. I'd watch, a bunch of other found footage movies before I'd watch this one.
Mhm. Now, would VHS be considered found footage? No,
Some of
that's-
it.
no, that-
Some of
yeah,
it,
I guess
yeah.
some of it was.
It's
yeah.
an anthology.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there you go, guys. Why don't you let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below if you've seen this movie. Thank you very much to Ms. Marie
Yes.
for requesting this one. We greatly appreciate it.
And thanks to Heather for being a long
Thanks to Heather for being a long-time patron as well. Thank you to both of you, lovely ladies. We greatly appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
I just wasn't as big a fan of this as I was hoping I would be. But
Yeah, I wasn't much of a fan at all, unfortunately. But
yeah.
I still can give merit to, what they accomplished.
keep sending us found footage movies that I haven't seen. Look, you found a found footage movie that I hadn't seen before. So much props and credit to you for that. I love found footage movies, and this was just one that didn't tickle my fancy didn't tickle my balls that much. You know what I mean?
Ooh, no, I don't tickle balls, so I guess I don't know.
Yeah, you do. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I've been Cecil. And remember, stay scared.
I'm really scared now.